need of repair. Connecticut's teacher induction program that is a requirement for state licensure. It's known formally as the Beginning Educator Support and Training, or BEST program. But that acronym, BEST, is a misnomer. The goal of the Connecticut Education Association is to create a better induction program for teachers, one that genuinely is the best for teachers, students, and public education. State legislators want to know more about the program and its impact on teaching and learning, attracting and retaining teachers, and the state licensure process. Teachers are speaking out. Legislators on the Program Review and Investigations Committee heard the following testimony from teachers on September 27th.
The portfolio did not evaluate their passion and dedication to teaching, but the process merely stamped out that very passion and dedication. And I'm here because I have passion for this profession, and I am telling you, this BEST program is not an educator support and training program. It's a stress test for teachers.
I really have questions as to, A, what is our goal for these young teachers? And B, is it doing anything at the end of the day to help educate our young people? And if it doesn't do that, why are we doing it?
The process actively dissuades people from teaching in Connecticut.
When I started to think about how much time, effort, and work the process had taken and how little constructive feedback I had received, I soon became very discouraged.
The new teachers I knew in this position were all scared of BEST. It's a lot of work with a lot at stake.
My colleagues and I have had several discussions about the quality of teaching that happens or doesn't happen during the portfolio process. And in my written testimony, you'll see the graphs that I have. But we do agree that the quality of teaching does lack in the portfolio year because you're worried about your portfolio. There are sometimes blatant misalignments between the state expectations and the district curriculum. What this resulted in was my having to teach 2 math lessons during the week I did my portfolio instruction, leaving no time for me to teach writing that day. And for first graders, that's a disaster. They need to learn how to write.
As a parent, I would not want my child in a second-year teacher's classroom, knowing what I know about the pressures and time commitment needed to produce a portfolio.
I am here to let you know that the BEST program has incurred many hardships on an urban district.
I called the State Department, and the State Department said, well, we don't answer those type of questions. We don't do that. How do I know what I'm doing wrong if nobody will tell me?
The positive feedback from such a subjective grading process, as well as the subsequent meeting from the score from the state, did little to give us confidence for the next round. I could not believe how unjust this was, and I immediately realized how unfair and invalid this whole program is.
Yet, she said I was too vague in my writing, and I was perplexed by that, and I said to her, well, that's funny because I modeled my portfolio heavily after the only exemplar that was available for me to view in 6th grade math. And her response to me was, well, unfortunately, some of our exemplars aren't that great.
There were no helpful comments for improving my teaching. There was only a cold, hard number telling me that I was a fairly adequate teacher.
My follow-up meeting with the Education Department, it became clear that the 2 representatives weren't as savvy or as knowledgeable as my high schoolers. This in itself would be terrible. What was infuriating was their arrogance. I was offended and insulted by their lack of understanding. It was, pardon me, but it's 3 years later, it's still upsetting.
I do not feel the videotaping works at all.
The portfolio doesn't reflect accurately what happens in the classroom because it is a production. The portfolio does not reflect reality in the classroom, but a stage where everything is scripted, rehearsed, written up, or videotaped.
We don't understand why you didn't get a Hollywood movie director.
No, that's exactly what it sounds like. This is a test on how to choreograph and be a movie director.
First of all, I think the BEST portfolio assessment is invalid because it assesses a teacher's writing, not their teaching.
The reason they weren't happy is because in the second half of my class, one student dropped a recorder. Therefore, I did not have good classroom control. And that was the reason I did not pass.
The scoring of the portfolio should be done by someone who has expertise in that area. A scorer who does not know the students should not ever be able to say that the objectives that the teacher has selected are inappropriate for those students.
The scorers can't possibly know the complexities of the kids that you're working with.
I recommend a combination of administrator evaluation with a series of formative assessments. Administrator evaluations are much more authentic. They're there to view the entire lesson. And what's more is you get meaningful provided feedback.
It's contrary to every principle of due process that there's no appeal. There needs to be an appeal process.
I got my teaching certificate at Yale. I failed my portfolio, but I never understood exactly what was wrong with it. I also learned there's no way to appeal your score if you don't understand or disagree.
Make sure that there is an appeals process with actual experts in the field, not with another guy from that department.
Provide an appeal process. Ladies and gentlemen, I can appeal a driving ticket. They can't appeal this for licensure.
One of the things that we've sort of picked up in the last couple of weeks is that the mentoring, the focus on mentoring in Connecticut is so important for the beginning teacher, has been reduced.
We've had other students who have never met their mentor. You cannot expect someone to produce a portfolio and a video when they have no support.
Another problem that we have is the availability of trained mentors in the various content areas.
And if you're going through all this stress and strain and it makes no difference on how the students perform, then I really want to look at, whether we need to be doing it this way.
But I'm almost to the point now of throw it all out, start from scratch, and focus the money on the mentor.
You, as a public school teacher, can help make BEST better. Share your ideas about BEST with CEA, your legislators, and lawmakers on the Program Review and Investigations Committee. Key email addresses are LynetteB@cea.org and PRI@CGA.